Aidan. Yeah, I'm good, thank you. Yes,
Right, shall we start? Aidan.
Roy, good afternoon. Any better news on the injury front in the last few days?
Patrick Van Aanholt has started training with us again, so that's very positive. We'll see if he can play tomorrow, but if he can, that will be a major boost, because that's been a problem position for us during the time he's been out with injury. We've suffered a setback in training this morning with Scott Dan, who's going to have a scan this afternoon. I can remain hopeful that won't show anything, and it might just be a little scare that you sometimes get in training sessions, but I'll have to be prepared for that. And otherwise, our injury list is as it was. If Scott Dan can't make it, it's been worsened. And of course, the big problem at the moment is all the injuries occurring in the same area of the field.
Would you describe this period as regards injuries as possibly the worst you've known? Have you known any worse spells earlier in your career? You said the other day, especially when you talk about one position particularly.
Yeah, the worst is always the next one, isn't it? Because I'm sure there have been bad ones in the past, and I'm sure that I've lived through it and dealt with it, because that's what you have to do. But certainly it's the worst since I've been here at Crystal Palace, and as you rightly say, the main problem is it's come in an area where a few weeks ago we were unbelievably well stocked and we were congratulating ourselves on all the options we had available, and then suddenly you find yourself trying to scratch around to make certain you can get the best possible formation and the best balance in your team that you can, given the injuries. But we'll have to deal with it. I don't think we're going to be alone going into this period of time. It could have come at a better time when there's a more chance of recovering an injured player, but it hasn't, so we'll get on with it and do the best we can in the games that we have to play.
You've got 4 games, I think, in 10 days, 3 of them away from home. How much will this demand of you and your squad, especially with the injury situation that you've outlined?
I think it will give opportunities to people, that's for sure. It will give opportunities to people who haven't maybe had so many opportunities so far. The chances are we'll have quite a few of the under-23 squad on our bench tomorrow. Now, if they get a chance to go on and play up there in Newcastle, what an experience that will be, to perhaps make your debut for the first team playing. Is it St James's Park now still, or have they changed it? I'm afraid it will always be St James's Park to me. That will be a great place to make your debut. So these type of opportunities will come people's way, and it came Adam Wan-Bissaka's way a couple of years ago, and he jumped in and became the player that he now is. So we can always hope, but it will put a strain, I think, on our squad, which really, if we talk about senior players at the moment, is remarkably small. And of course it puts pressure on everybody, myself and everyone else at the club, to try and make certain that we do use this transfer window wisely to try and give the squad the reinforcement that it badly needs.
On that last point you mentioned there, you said after Brighton on Monday that yourself, Steve and Doug are all on the same page as regards trying to make the American owners part with a bit of money next month.
No, I don't think I said that. I'll change that one. I think the American owners and Steve in particular have been discussing for a long time what possibilities there might be of money being released. So I don't think anything's changed in that respect. I'm thinking more in terms of Steve and Doug, as I say, being on the same page, because they're the ones that I deal with in terms of the targets we're looking at, and making certain that the areas of the field which I think most need covering are the ones that they understand are the ones that most need covering, and then they pass that on to the Americans. So it's certainly not a question of any difference between Steve working here as the chairman of the club and the American owners who alongside him being in any way divided in their thoughts. I don't think that. I spoke to the American owners when they were over when we played Bournemouth, and they were very much on board as well. So it's a question really of making certain, I think, that we do our work and we find our targets and we work hard to get those targets, because I believe that everybody at the club is actually on board with the fact that we do need this reinforcement in this transfer window, because we weren't able to get it in the previous transfer window.
On Newcastle, they're not in bad form. I think 4 wins in 6 games. What have you made of the job that Steve has done? Because back in the summer he wasn't everybody's first choice to take over. It looks like he's proving a few people wrong. Well,
basically, unless you're Pep Guardiola or Jurgen Klopp, no one's first choice with the fans for any job. So in actual fact, I'm not that surprised that he wasn't first choice. They wanted Benitez to stay and he didn't. So outside of appointing Pep or Jurgen, I don't know who they'd have appointed, which would have been the fans' first choice. I think he's an excellent choice to manage the club after Rafa Benitez and the job that he did up there. And I think he's made an excellent start to that job. The results so far have been good. Every bit as good, I think, as Newcastle have been in the previous couple of years, where Benitez, like myself, has found himself, in a situation where you're trying very hard to keep your team in the league. And he's a good way away from the relegation zone. They're getting good results at home. They've signed a lot of players, many of whom have made a big impact. So it's always a tough game up there. You never go to Newcastle thinking this is going to be an easy game for us to get points from. And that's no different now. And I'm looking forward to seeing Steve, who I've not seen for some time and whose work I've always respected and admired.
Just finally, from me, can I ask you about Mikel Arteta? It looks like he's going to be appointed Arsenal manager today. What advice as a senior guy in the game would you give someone taking over or taking their first Premier League job and at such a big club?
Well, I wouldn't dream of giving anybody advice, especially someone whom I don't really know, other than having sort of met him briefly during the times when we played Manchester City alongside Pep, and I'm certain if he really needs advice going into this job from senior people, then he's got his current manager, or his maybe ex-current manager now in terms of Pep Guardiola, but he's also got Arsene Wenger, whom he played for a long time, and I would think he might have even been at Everton during Walter Smith's time, so there's plenty of people there. I don't know Mikel Arteta. All I remember about him is being very impressed with him when I was working at Blackburn and recommending him to Inter at the time because, I thought that maybe he's the type of player that would suit them well, and of course they're the club that could have afforded to buy him had they wanted to. So I've always felt that Arteta is a part of my history to some extent, but only in that very simple matter of me spotting him as a player and telling Massimo Moratti, maybe this is a midfield player you should look at.
So was that when you were managing Inter?
No, it was after I left Inter, so I think it was probably when I was at Blackburn.
Lovely, thanks.
Okay, thank you. Tom from Jack from Talksport. You okay? Okay, that's the end of the broadcast section. Thank you.